So the Yahovah do not want humans to know the difference between good and evil. And they also don't want humans to grow and become like them, because it says in Genesis 11:5-9, and the Yahovah came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men had built. And the Yahovah said, Behold, the people are one, and they have all one language. And now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Go, let us go down there and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Yahovah scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore it is called Babel, because the Yahovah did confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Yahovah scatter them abroad. That doesn't sound very nice to me. We also know in Genesis 3:1 that the Yahovah made the serpent which deceived mankind. So Genesis 3:1 says, Now the Nachash was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahovah had made. So Nachash translates into snake. Nachash is the Hebrew word which means snake, but it also means image, which is interesting because in Revelation 12:9, and this was written in Greek, but it says, And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, and the Greek word is ophis, which means to appear. It means snake, but it stems from the word optonomai, which means to appear or to allow oneself to be seen. And remember, the word apocalypse itself means to unveil, which is very similar to this, to allow oneself to be seen, maybe in their true image. The ophis, or the serpent, is called the diabolos, which means false accuser, slanderer, and Satanas, which means adversary, who deceives the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So think about it. The deceiver, Satanas, or the serpent, the false accuser, the slanderer, is somehow connected to this image thing, which means to appear or to allow oneself to be seen. In Revelation 12, it's saying to allow oneself to be seen, and in Genesis 3, it's saying something about an image, that the Nachash, the word Nachash actually means image. So what is this deception? I mean, how is Satanas deceiving the whole world? That's the question. Could it be that the Satanas is proclaiming themselves to be God on the earth? Could that be it? Yeah, I think so. And the servant, the human servant, said, this is Genesis 3:13, and the human servant, which is Ishah, said, the Nachash, or the serpent, beguiled me, and I did eat, which that word also means consume or destroy. So the serpent, or the Nachash, deceived the servant, the human servant, and they were destroyed because of it. In Genesis 4, we see that the Yahovah prefer dead animals as sacrifices instead of grains, because we have the story of Cain and Abel, where Cain offers them grains and Abel offers them dead animals, and they prefer the meat over the grain. But notice how that contradicts with what Elohiym had said in Genesis 1:29. And Elohiym said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree. To you it shall be for meat, or consumption, or nourishment. So the Elohiym gave humans herbs and fruit for nourishment. But the Yahovah prefer meat, dead animals. But notice this, in Genesis 5, Cain and Abel aren't even listed in the genealogical lineage. Genesis 5 says this is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Elohiym, and this is Elohiym, it's not talking about Yahovah in this one. This is Elohiym. In the day that Elohiym created mankind in the likeness of Elohiym, they made them, mankind. They, the Elohiym, made them, mankind. Because it says, male and female created he them, meaning the Elohiym, meaning they created them, and blessed them and called their name Adam. I mean, this is actually in the King James Version. It says, male and female, he created them and called their name Adam. So Adam, is the name for all of humans. It's not, that is also not a single person. It is all of humanity is called Adam, male and female, Adam. That's humanity. And the genealogy doesn't mention Cain or Abel. It goes from Adam. It starts at Adam, and it says Adam had a son named Set. And there's Set, Enos, Canaan, Mahalaleel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and then Noah. So that's interesting that we don't hear anything about Cain and Abel. So what we're seeing here is that Adam are all humans that are created by Elohiym, and Isha are the human servants created by Yahovah. That's what we're seeing here. That's the pattern. Genesis 3:20 says, and Adam called his Isha, or servant, Shavah, which means life. And in the King James Version, that word is Eve. But in the original Hebrew, the word is Shavah, and it means life. So, the Isha is called life. The Isha is the servant, and remember, the servant is both male and female. Okay, now we go into Abraham and what the Yahovah said to Abraham. Genesis 12:1-5. Now the Yahovah had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house. So Yahovah is telling Abram to leave his father's house unto a land that I will show you, and I will make you a great nation. So Yahovah is promising Abraham to make him into a great nation if he leaves his father's house. And Abram took his wife and his brother's son Lot, and they went forth into the land of Canaan. So Canaan was the land that Yahovah promised Abraham. But in Genesis 9:24-25, Noah cursed Canaan. Noah was good. From Genesis 6:9, we know that Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with Elohiym. And that word is Elohiym. Again, you can go check all of this in the concordance. I'll leave the link below this video. So why would Elohiym, who are good, why would they lead Abraham into a land that Noah cursed? No, I don't think so. The Hovah led Abraham into the cursed land. In Genesis 13:10, Hovah, it says, the Hovah destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the Garden of Eden of Hovah. So remember, in Genesis 2:8 it says, and Hovah planted a garden eastward in Eden, and a river went out of Eden, and the fourth river is Euphrates. Well, we know that the Euphrates River is in modern day Iraq. So it's pretty much standard knowledge that the Garden of Eden was in modern day Iraq, and Hovah created the Garden of Eden. Hovah didn't create the whole world. Hovah created the Garden of Eden, which was first Sumer, and then Sumeria, and then it was Babylon. So Hovah created Babylon. But we'll get into that later. Right now I'm just trying to show you that Hovah they're not nice people. So they destroyed their own place that they created. They created Sodom and Gomorrah. Do you see that? Because it says Hovah created Eden, the Garden of Eden. And then that's in Genesis 2:8. And then in Genesis 13:10, it says, and Hovah destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the Garden of Eden. So this seems to imply that the Hovah were actually the ones that created Sodom and Gomorrah. And we know that Sodom and Gomorrah was supposedly this really bad place. In Genesis 15:7-12, Hovah told Abraham to sacrifice some animals, and after he did it, a quote-unquote horror of great darkness fell upon him. In Genesis 17, Hovah promises to make Abraham a great nation and makes a covenant with him, and requires the flesh of his foreskin and even babies that are 8 days old, and all men, that the flesh of their foreskin is a token of the covenant. But Hovah says any male baby that's 8 days old, or any male that is bought with money of a stranger. So Hovah condones slavery and wants them to cut their babies. And this is not something that I'm saying in negativity. I'm simply pointing out the facts. Now we go into all of these other stories in Genesis, which I will summarize, and you can verify all of this. Genesis 16, Abraham's wife was barren, so he slept with her servant. And then after the servant girl conceived and had a baby, he kicked both of them out of the house. And they were half dead when Hovah came and said, oh, I'll make you a great nation too. In Genesis 19, Lot offered his virgin daughters to be raped and then impregnated both of them. I'm out of time. I'll start this at part 3.